Good afternoon, everybody. It is right on time for a change, and it is Friday, so I am here. Well, I'm not here all the time, but I am here today. So, how do I sound? Okay, well, that was fast. Thank you, John. So, a lot of things to talk about today. A couple updates. First, we don't know if there'll be a test this weekend. We're currently testing a build candidate right now, so we'll see. Also, it's been an interesting week, and it's about to get more interesting for the people out in Seattle. I don't know if you folks who are not in Seattle heard. They had a lot of snow. Well, for them, it's a lot of snow. For us, you know, we call it kind of typical. For upstate New York, they say, what snow? But unfortunately, in Seattle, that knocked a lot of people out of work, including, you know, some folks from our team. And they have more snow coming in today, tomorrow, and maybe during the week. So our output is a little bit off from where we like it to be. But, you know, if people can't get in and can't work from home, nothing you can do about it. But hopefully it won't be too bad. So that's it on those updates. Let's get to the top 10-ish. Number one, because there are a lot of things to talk about. Number one, tech item, renderings and animation. So about an hour and a half ago, I was chatting with Andrew about stuff, and he said, oh, and by the way, the thing I just checked in should get us a significant improvement in terms of our frame rate. Now, usually these things come in at like 5%, 10%. Andrew's checked one in, which according to him has a 20% improvement on frame rate, depending on what kind of PC you have. And as you can imagine, main reason for this was for larger scale battles or large scale battles. One of the things, by the way, that people have been asking me a lot in the last few weeks, for those who have been in our tests or even folks who have seen our update, hey, do you really think you're going to have 4,000 people in a battle in Camelot Unchained? The answer is no. That is not our intent. Right now, certainly the engine could not support 4,000 people, building destruction, siege weapons, veil storms, and all that going on. The testing we've been doing, as I've been telling people, is so, one, we can see the issues as we scale up, but also to get to the point that we have the spare frame rate, we have the spare network bandwidth, to be able to do the things we want in the kind of scaled battles we have been talking about, which is certainly, just like the Kickstarter, a minimum of 500. We have done 1,000, no problem. We've done 2,000, no problem. So, you know, where are we going to shake out? Depends. Like I said, we are not trying, nor would have any intention of trying for a 4,000 person battle. Frankly, because most PCs really right now would have a problem with that when you throw everything else in there. But again, at 1,000 even, which we've broken, that's twice what we said in the Kickstarter. So it will be somewhere north of 1,000. It will be less than 2,000 most likely, but you never know. But certainly we are not going for 4,000. But a nice 20% increase is fantastic in rendering. Number two, another tech item, Rubble. So Colin has made some changes to Rubble, so we don't have as much of an issue with bouncy castles. And it's really nice that you can actually say something like bouncing castles when you have bouncy castles, because unlike most games where that have destruction, and not that many of them, you can take out an entire keep and watch it fall and break apart and bounce. Most of the bouncing has been removed. We're still not there yet, but we've only been working on this for a fairly short time. So I think it won't be too long before we'll have it in a really great state. But if you were in the game right now, what else did you see? Not only improvement in the bouncy castles, but hey, you saw Rubble damaging people and crushing people. So another item that is close to being delivered on. Number 3, oh, you're going to love this one. Tech design, improved ability system. Mage abilities. Anthony is finished. Finished. See, I said finished. The core abilities for mages in the improved ability system. Again, they don't have all their fancy schmancy skill parts, but you can build abilities from different runes and shapes. Number 4, another tech item, and also in the improved ability system, status stacking tech. Status,
confirm that's what
yep,
it says.
three times fast. Status stacking tech. Status stacking tech. Status stacking 10. There we go.
I feel like the hyphen's in the wrong place, too.
It is, isn't it? It should be the other way. Who wrote this? Oh, wait, it wasn't me. Who edited it? Oh, it was you.
Not I.
Oh, not you yet? Oh, there we go. Pass the buck. Okay. No. So, yeah, stacking of obviously all sorts of things, buffs and debuffs, kind of important. So, getting that in, a good thing. Number 5, Siege Tech Design. So, we have removed for now the ability to tap target players using trebuchets. One of the things that I talked about on the forums is that even though we don't intend people to use tab targeting to target players in the sense that it will follow them, I could see a mode potentially where you could tab target over somebody and that player's location would be targeted. It's going to be a question of what's easier to use when we have large-scale battles. So, if we find that we think we want, or it is necessary, if you want to be able to target a spot, that would be easier to target someone who's standing on the spot. I'm perfectly open to that, because that is simply where you're putting or aiming for, and really is no different than just mousing over a spot. If we allow, we will allow it for some things. So, we will see what happens. Number 6, work in progress. Another tech item, BPOs. So this is another one that's kind of sort of important, and Matt has made it so building placed objects can now be selected after they have already been placed. Kind of necessary if you actually want to pick the thing up and move it. So, that is coming along very nicely. Number 7, work in progress, heavy fighter, the tech design. And it's very important because if you want to take your heavy fighter down to a light fighter, you have to have a safe way for him to lose weight. And so they've been working on the design for that. No, I mean, obviously, for the heavy fighter, what's been going on in order to speed up delivery of some of the classes, Wiley has jumped in to implement the heavy fighter skills in the improved ability system. Number 8, art, mage effects. Hey, I sense a theme in this one. Mages. DB and Mike have been busy working on the mage ability SFX and VFX, focusing on the initial pre-built abilities before we have the full ability builder. Awesome. Number 9, Tech UI. Hey, guess what? Mages. We've begun hooking up the mage classes to the character creator in the patcher, which means you can start to play around with them. Now, they don't do anything yet, but that's the first step. Get them into the patcher so you can actually start to play with them. Number 10, art. 3 guesses, 2 guesses. Now, 1 guess. What is this what am I gonna say next? Mage animations. Scott has completed the first shared set of mage animations we'll use for testing. This week he completed the right hand animations for wands and scepters. Number 11, work in progress, art. Mage weapons. John and Dion have completed the wands and scepters for the Arthurian Flame Warden and the Tuatha Druid. Next up, the Wave Weaver gloves. Number 12, art. Wave Weaver gloves. So Michelle has finished the first pass on the items on these items for review, and once they're approved, they'll go on to modeling and importation. Number 13, design. Sorry, not a mage item. Siege scenarios. Ben has begun work on a new map layout for a future siege scenario, very different from our current test map. May ring a bell eventually when you see it. Number 14, patcher bug fixed. UI. So AJ fixed a sometimes annoying bug that would cause the patcher to go black and force you to restart it in order to see anything. Hey, I think, going black every so often is not sometimes annoying. It's always annoying. I don't know anyone who would play our, game and go to the patcher and hit that bug and go, oh my God, that's great. Can you do that again? Sometimes annoying. Always annoying. Number 15. Oh, God. It's like War and Peace this week. This is an item that's been appearing, but hopefully more fun. The book was a downer.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. Well, it was it? Anyway, happy book. Anyway, so Characters 2.0. Yet again, another Characters 2.0 item. Better looking and more performing characters. We keep saying this every weekend. Every week it's true. So in this case, Tyler has been focused on auditing all the things that we have done for 2.0, finding the problems, finding the little issues, and so we're getting close to finishing up everything there. Valkyries, we've completed the first pass at modeling, weighting, and importing the new nude and armor assets for the Valks. And the last item under that is the animation polish. So Scott and Sandra continued their polish pass on all the animations. And last, and certainly least, because it is the least, last item on it, and the least item, because it's like one thing compared to most of these, which have many things, is the Sapper Bomb. So Dion helped Tyler out this week and finished up the non-holiday themed Sapper Bomb. And there'll be more bombs coming, usually from Hollywood. You can count on it. And having said all that, let's get to the Q&A. Don't want it to be a super long one today, guys. Got other stuff to do.
All right, so you'll let us know when
Yep.
you want to do a 5-minute warning?
Yeah, probably give it a half hour today.
Okay. Questions. Lotoween asks, are you dividing Thor's items between the various Viking classes? And if so, which class, okay, this is just a troll to get me to try to pronounce this word.
Of course it is.
Which class will get Meginyorth?
Yep, trolling question. And I have no answer to that other than well played. Is that we should make this we can make this a drinking game.
No, thank you. Upping the difficulty.
Hey, why should I be the only one who gets tough questions during?
Right.
So let's play Stump the Max.
I feel like we do that a lot already. Okay. Colaholic. If you read that too fast, it looks different. Colaholic asks, will crafters be able to co-own stores and shops?
Good question. Never been asked that. Well done. Well done. So the off the top of my head answer, because frankly I haven't been asked it, like I said, and I've never thought about it actually. The answer would be yes. I see no technical reason, or certainly no design reason, why we wouldn't do that.
CSE Matt asks, how many inches of snow do you bet Seattle will get by Monday?
That's a really good question, Matt. Well, I'm hoping it will be like less than 3 based on our conversations today, but every time I do that, I think I've been wrong when I've hoped. So let me just put out a number. I will say 4 inches.
Ryan Petrie on the YouTube chat asks, Will weapons have range in game, meaning a spear could hit from 10 feet away and dance around players with short swords?
Yeah, that's something we have absolutely discussed. We talked about during the Kickstarter. We've talked about it during the development, and the answer is yes, that is something we absolutely want.
Gwalch asks, what's up with crafters?
Well, not the stock market when it comes to game companies, but yeah, they're all down. So what's up with crafters? Just what we're doing, moving ahead, improving the UI, getting that up and running, or the new one, up and running, and just, yeah, all good. I wish I had something to say, but it wasn't like there was any other big ticket item that we had to get in that was a higher priority than the things we're doing now.
Apostrophe asks, how stoked are you that you reached 4K arcs earlier?
Oh, that was just ridiculous. Super stoked. Again, what's really important, and I've been saying this in the tests, is it's not whether we want to have 4K arcs or players in a battle. That's not what we're about. What we're about with these tests is, one, trying to get as much bandwidth metrics as we can on what we're going to be using, see where the holes potentially are in the rendering engine, looking for, it's not at this point just a low-hanging fruit, but looking for things that we can improve that will aid the game as we move forward, whether it's with 1,000 person battle, a 500-person battle, or even a 50-person battle. So yeah, super stoked. We are certainly going to continue to work on the networking code and the rendering code, but not necessarily with an eye to going, hey, can we get to 5,000? That just isn't a focus. On the other hand, it's an amazing achievement, especially for this tiny team. When you look at the size of the studios, including Mythic, that tried and to some levels, certainly to a certain degree, succeeded in having decent-sized battles between players. The fact that this little team, and we are little by every stretch of the imagination, has been able to deliver on something that so many people we've spoken to in the past and present, and I'm sure the future, still say is impossible. And even bright engineers who we've talked to in terms of looking at them for potential hires have said that they just don't think it's possible. Yeah, it kind of sort of is. So yeah, super stoked. Really happy with the performance up at up to 2K. I mean, I'm happy at every level, but just that we had 2K and that performance was great. I mean, 2,000. Oh, and I didn't mention this because hey, it just happened 5 hours ago. Yeah, about 5 hours ago. I went into one of those same tests and I put on the VR headset. And guess what? It worked. We weren't quite sure what was going to happen, but as I was walking around, again, 2,000 plus arcs, it just happily did its thing. Andrew put the headset on and immediately got AoE'd and flew up into the air, took off the headset, and was like, okay, let's not do that again. A little bit nausea-inducing, but, cool. Now, I love roller coasters, so I put the headset back on, and that didn't bother me. On the other hand, a couple weeks ago when I walked around with it, that bothered me more. So, weird, right? Walking bothered me, but getting thrown up in the air and, coming back down didn't. So, yeah, really happy, overjoyed, enraptured, thrilled even with the performance of the engine to date, and again being able to put the headset on and walk through the woods and walk into the battles. When you see other games talking about, hey, we think we can get to 50 players, or hey, we can get to 100 players, and we're already, I got 2,000 plus on the screen, or even 1,800. I don't remember what I peaked at on the screen. That's still pretty darn good.
A couple people are desperate to know what happened to the beard.
Oh, yeah. I've talked about this in the past, guys. Every 6 months or every year, I shave it all off. Because I've had a couple bouts, obviously, with skin cancer in the past. Because I spent way too much time outdoors. And if you grow up in my era, we used to do dumb stuff. Like, instead of putting on, any kind of sunscreen, we would put tanning oil with like 0 FPS on you to turn yourself an even darker shade of whatever color you were before, or even baby oil. And then people, not me, this was something my sister did, would take a reflector, literally go up to the roof of our apartment building in the Bronx, throw on baby oil, put the reflector on, and crispy critter. And so, yeah, I've had a couple bouts with that, nothing serious, just the slow grow, nothing to worry about type. But every 6 months or a year, depending, if I feel anything, I just shave it off and check. And nope, same stuff that's been there, all is good, and I immediately started growing it back. I miss it. And even Lady J, who hated it for years and didn't want me to grow one, after I shaved, she looked at me and said, "You're growing it back, right? Right? You're growing it back." So, yes, I am growing it back.
Mr. Peace 84 asks, are you far enough into development to know what direction armor design will take? Will you have different models for each race, or just scale the models to the body size? It sure would be a shame to cover up those new gorgeous golem models.
So, we've said from the beginning that we're not going to be making a lot of racial armor, class-based armor, because we just don't have the resources. So for launch, don't expect a ton of unique armor. Over time, we hope to add more and more. It's simply a resource thing. And, when you're as late as we are, we have no interest in doing anything else that could slow us down. So don't expect a lot of uniques, but hopefully you'll like one of the things about Character 2.0 is that we've improved and changed a bunch of the art. So let us know what you think about the new and improved kind.
Arc No Angel asks, how will PvE work if there is no XP to be gained by it?
Well, we said from the beginning, you do not level up your character in PvE unless you're a crafter. We're very clear about this. Now, is there plenty of PvE? Absolutely. You're just not getting experience for your skills. And why are we doing that? Same thing we've said from the beginning. We don't want to do that because we want to keep you folks focused as much as possible on RVR. And we also didn't have at the time any reasonable expectation that we could deliver a meaningful PvE experience at the same time we were delivering the RVR experience. So, we're still focused on RVR. We want our skill system to be focused on RVR. That's to give you RVRs the absolute best skill system you can have. Now, whether it's the ability system we're using now, or even if we had to take a step back from that, we don't have to worry about, well, this skill is great in PvE, but when you use it against RVR, it is uber, it is OP, it is broken. We didn't want to do that. If we're going to break things, we only want to break it because we were actually actively thinking about that at the time, because that makes us look so much smarter. Because it's always been a convenient excuse, right? When you design something into a game and you go, oh, well, I hadn't considered that it could actually be used in the game. Well, now we have no excuses. Wait a second. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. So, PvE is still going to be, as we've talked about, there's going to be a lot of it there, but it is not going to be something you can level your skills up. But keep in mind, and this was one of the things I thought about a lot when we were talking about this game here, because it's a horizontal progression game, again, it's not as important as it would be in a game like Dark Age or Warhammer, or any game where, players could use PvE to level up their skills before they go into RVR, unless you have two separate skill tracks. So, we just didn't want to do it here. We didn't want to distract you. You don't need to do it to go into combat thinking that, well, unless I maxed out my skills or unless I'm close to max, I'm going to die, because these guys are so much more powerful that they can just breathe on me and I die. That's not what this game is about. So I think players, even though it is a bit of a paradigm shift, I think players will actually enjoy it quite a lot, including people who might not have, really loved PvP or RVR in other games.
Hellskip asks, do you plan to break up the game currency as it was in the Dayak? Platinums, golds, silvers, and etc.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's also from, I don't remember if both my MUDs had that. I know one of them did. I don't remember if both of them did. But yeah, that's something I thought about. I always loved that. I thought it was a nice thing. Some players didn't like it because they thought it was too confusing. I thought it was a nice RP thing, but we'll see.
Svarti asks, how is the concept of the Veil and Veilstorms coming along? Have they changed since the first inception of the idea, and how long till we start seeing them in the game?
We've actually had some initial conversation, not initial, wrong term, recent conversations about it. Nothing's changed. It's nothing we focused on because it's silly to focus on that for us until we do the other things we need to do. So, nothing's changed. We will get to it. Fortunately, because of the way, the Veil Storms were thought about, that's nothing that we need to have early in testing. And it's not like that system is frankly as important to the game as are other things that we need to get done first. Even though I can't wait to do that in the Veil itself because it's going to be cool. We've got to focus on doing the right things first, and then getting to the other things that, even though they're kind of cool.
Mr. Eatum on the YouTube chat asks, I'm super excited but not falling too close to avoid burnout, so this may be an old question with an obvious answer to others. Are you at the point I can send in my beta invites to my friends?
Oh, no, not at all. Those invites are beta 3 invites unless you're talking about, extra guild invites. So no, not at that point at all.
Sean Malloy on the YouTube chat has been watching some old videos and wonders, hey, any more information on how the map Conquered Territory will work, e.g. moving islands?
Same stuff that we've talked about from the beginning. You have to take over the territory, you have to put in the stabilizers, and the territory will slowly move. It's not something that's going to look like a skateboarder, going down a street. It is something that is slow, and it happens over time. It won't be the most exciting thing to watch, but it will certainly be cooler as the islands get closer to, really close to each other. And as you've seen, if you've been in any of our tests or seen a video of our test, you have such an amazing render distance that you can literally see other islands. And not islands that are really close. I mean, islands that are kind of far away. I think we're up to 10 kilometers right now. I think. I have to check. But I think we are.
Let's see. Scott Florence asks, will there be much in the way of garden vegetation for building? One never knows when a knight who says knee may demand a shrubbery.
Yeah, I think there's very little doubt that there will be some bad puns, some Easter eggs, and other things in this game. I can pretty much guarantee that. And probably a dad joke or two.
Ryan Petrie on the YouTube chat asks, Will learning languages be a skill similar to EverQuest so that we can communicate in an extremely friendly manner toward enemy realms?
Well, not towards enemy realms. There was I've never been a fan of that. We didn't certainly have that in Dark Age. Different languages within your own realm is certainly a possibility. That's just a text thing. That's fairly easy to do. I did that, I know, in my MUDs. So we'll see.
Critical Danny asks, "Hey MJ, how soon can we?"
I said hi back.
Oh, I thought you were trying to get my attention.
No, then I'd be like, Max!
Critical Danny asks, "Hey MJ, how soon can we expect a big castle exploding during beta with a lot of players in like a small version of the numbers achieved during the testing with ARX?"
Funny you mentioned that. Remember the item I was talking about in terms of Ben working on design? That would be just about right. I mean, right now, of course, you can go in and you can make part of a keep fall down. You can make any part of the castle fall down. But you can literally make an entire tower fall down. And man, does that create a lot of rubble. So, yeah, we certainly can't wait to have awful lot of trebuchets firing an awful lot of live ammo and glowy ammo, because we know Mike Crossmeyer loves to do things with fire and sparklies and indictments, but you know, it goes along with the fire thing, and he will and he's already done some with our trebuchets, and more are coming.
Real Life Gabo asks, "How are you doing, Mark?"
Other than this, I'm doing fine. I have to go back on the low-carb diet, which I'll do in a couple weeks. Been working out, so that's getting that's better. Other than that, good. I mean, just good. Busy, as you can imagine. Happy because, you know, seeing 4,000, 3,000, even 2,000 ARX running around using the ability system made me very happy. We've got a lot of interesting things going on in the studio. Watch the space. Yeah, all good. New people coming in. We've had, you know, hires in certainly in the last few months, and some more starting. We've got more interviews. So yeah, all good.
Zietti.
Thank you for asking.
Oh, go ahead.
That's okay.
Zietti asks, will attributes, i.e. strength, vitality, intelligence, etc., define the role of more DPS tank or support role? Or will classes be more important, i.e. Mjolnir being tank, or will enough attributes to make it more of a DPS?
Certainly the classes are going to be the defining, the most defining choice you can make about your character because of the ability system. Since abilities come from the class, you couldn't, for example, take a Flame Warden and up your stats and make him into a tank. But stats do play an important role. They're not something like in certain games, more of an afterthought, or things that, you know, really aren't that important. They are important for this game. It's a choice that you make as players, and so they have to have a role. Otherwise, your choices don't matter. So it will be a big deal to make the class choice, of course, and it's a big deal then what you do with your stats.
Zeke Wildfire says, not a question, but thank you to the team for all the hard work you're putting into the game.
Speaking on behalf of the team, you're welcome. We really have a very hard-working, very talented, and very dedicated team. We hope to add more to that in the coming weeks and months. And, you know, look, I guarantee you there's nobody who wants this game more than the folks here. You know, we've all been working on this for a while. Well, most of us have been working on it for quite a while. You know, our success to a certain degree depend on the success of the game, because of the game also has an impact on the success of the engine, and vice versa. So we appreciate it. We appreciate your thanks, but we really want to get this game out. We want to get people playing a game as opposed to playing in various stages of what used to be a tech demo, and now a very early game. And as you can see from our focus just this week, mostly game stuff, not just tech stuff. Even if it's a tech item, if you look at what were the things we were talking about, like the improved ability system, the mage abilities in the improved ability system, that means that item had to do with new abilities. So we've been very focused on the game, and that's going to continue now until we launch.
The Lotus Wraith asks, what are your thoughts on mining out of the depths and into an enemy castle to flood it with hostile gods?
Yeah, I'd love to do that, but unfortunately we have said right from the get-go that being able to dig under castles, dig under structures is not part of this game, at least in terms of planning. Could it become? Eventually, yes, but it's not a focus. We didn't want to do that for a number of reasons. One, that's hard, both from a design and technical standpoint, because you have issues if somebody, and a guild builds this fantastic castle and fills it with lots of defenses. And then you can simply, dig a little bit underneath it, plant the bomb, boom, there goes the castle. Which, of course, then means you have to then make defenses so that you can't do that. Well, once you put up enough defenses and that whole defenses go around the castle, then why did you spend all the time doing the defenses? Okay, that wasn't that bad, Max, defenses that go around the castle.
Sorry, I was reading the next question.
Oh. So, yes, that's part of the problem. That it's not that it's such hard from just a tech standpoint. It isn't. It's when you put it all together, it then becomes hard, because you have to come up with the ways to prevent the sapping. Or if you allow sapping, then you have to have the defenses to sapping, and then the players who want to sap are then going to want offensive ways to stop the defensive ways to stop the people who are trying to stop them. So you're in a constant escalation. Whereas something like a sap a bomb, that's easy, because you just need to stop the person who's running at you with the bomb, similar to if somebody was running up to the castle to use other abilities to get in. So, one thing is easy, one thing is more easily balanced, one thing is more easily created, and the other thing is a lot harder and potentially hugely unbalancing. No matter how you design it, and this is why I was against it right from the beginning. Even if you're very clever, you folks are always going to be a lot more clever. And so unless we had a foolproof way to do it that was super balanced or easy to balance, it just didn't make sense. And even 5 years into this, I look at this and go, nope, that was the right call.
Tony Brothers asks, with the focus you have on crafting and trading, have you ever discussed using blockchain to give ownership of the virtual crafts to players?
Yeah, great question. I think first time anyone's asked me about blockchain. Sure, we've talked about it. Look, we've never been the kind of folks who looked at Bitcoin and said, hey, that's amazing. So maybe if I had, or we had a number of years ago, and bought it, was like, what was it, $25 for a Bitcoin or less, we might be able to have a whole lot of interesting furniture and vacations that you can buy with Bitcoin. But we didn't do that. We looked at blockchain, said, yes, that's interesting too in some ways, but we haven't embraced, obviously, either technology. Is it possible we could do something with that? Certainly, but there would have to be an awfully compelling case for us to do that. And right now, the use case on it, especially on, well, not Bitcoin, because I'm not going anywhere near that, which I said a lot of times to people who've asked me to be involved. But with blockchain, we're taking also a, look, it's interesting, of course. We understand how it works from a technical standpoint. But right now, no plans to do anything. But that could change over time. Okay, folks, 5-minute warning, please.
5-minute warning. Lodoween asks, will plot capping after launch still be a circle you stand in for a given time? And if so, will it be placeable by the plot owner on different floors of a building?
Yeah, that's something. This is obviously a placeholder system. We have to have a much, more refined system for, the next stage of beta, and get a lot closer to the final one way before launch to test it out. It will certainly not be like it is now.
Looking for a nice question to end with.
Or a quickie, if you see a quickie.
A quickie. How complex will crafting be?
Super. I mean, honestly, we said it from the beginning. This is intended to be a very complex crafting system where you are given an awful lot of freedom in creating these items. So that hasn't changed at all.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Looking for good. Huh. This might be good to end with. I don't know. Aaron Gonzalez asks, how will player-made settlements affect the realm?
Yeah, that's a short one, so you can continue looking. Player, whether you call them settlements, towns, whatever, affect the realm in a number of ways, of course. You get rewarded on your end for doing that, which is good. When you have a settlement, you can run, or the king can run caravans that will go to that settlement, so you can have materials brought there. There will be settlements, of course, or anything that controls, depending on how you want to use the word settlement, that controls a place of power. So there'll be a lot of ways that settlements will be involved, and they're kind of, obviously they're kind of big deals.
How many pizzas have CSE consumed in the development of CU so far?
Far too many, probably, for some of our, health, girth, blood pressure, skin.
Mumblefish asks, with Mages and Characters 2.0 about to drop soon, hopefully, what are you looking forward to next?
Siege, baby. Siege. Seeing a big castle. Seeing the big castle with siege equipment on, the ramparts. Seeing the big castle with things happening overhead. Seeing the big castle being surrounded by the siege with thousands of people and orcs in it. Watching trebuchets and magic mortars firing off their payload towards whether it's the castle or the other siege engines. Seeing parts of the wall collapse as the siege weapons do their damage. That's what I'm looking forward to next. That's where we've been driving for months, towards, to get that feeling of immersion, to get that feeling of fun, to really do something that no other game right now is doing well. At least, no, let me take that back. That's unfair. Doing something that no other game is doing the way we're going to do it. Really was unfair. Excuse me. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see, that happen in CU. It must happen in CU. I rarely say that there are certain things that are so critical we must, have great versions of them, or the game will not be successful. This is one of them. Our sieges have to be great. Our sieges have to be glorious. Our sieges have to be something that you folks are looking forward to participating in, as opposed to have to participate in. So, boy, I don't think there's any doubt that in terms of next things in Unchained that I'm excited about, that's it. It is Sieges. Because sitting there, and I'm sure I'll be flying on top of things as usual, watching it unfold and, watching the weapons doing their thing and players running around and arcs running around and fireballs and all that and ice balls firing, across the skies. That's just going to be awesome. And, seeing it, hearing it, and participating in it is something that I am looking forward to very, very much. So with that perfect question, thank you for that, to end this round of let's quiz Mark and make Max not mispronounce things. I'll thank you as always for your support. I will thank you, for your patience. And hopefully we'll see you on a weekend test, though we don't know that yet. We haven't had a build that's different enough for me to ask somebody to take off or take away some time from their weekend. But hopefully there will be, this weekend. If not, we're pretty close for one for next weekend. And I'll keep you posted about that, or we'll keep you posted about it. But again, overall, even though we lost a number of hours to the weather for the poor folks in Seattle, it was a great, week. We're ending really strong with, trebuchets working properly, with, a frame rate increase, with the building destruction looking better, all the things. Mages coming in at, not finished, but certainly showing progress. Very, very good way to end the week. And of course, certainly last and not least, the fact that we showed you folks yet again that our engine can do everything, or the main things that we promised that it would be able to do. We can deliver large-scale battles, because we are. It's not a question of if the Unchained engine and if Camelot Unchained and if CSE can deliver on that part of the game. You've seen it. It's there. It's working. And, since a lot of you were in the tests, we didn't crash. The main game server held up like a champ. The proxy servers mostly held up until the end. And since, Andrew and I were discussing that this week, we haven't done anything major to those things in a long time. So, when we do get a chance to work on them, not only will we get better performance, but we'll also clean up the issues that cause an occasional crash at high numbers. But it's not a question of if. It's there, and you folks see it. We're not hiding it from any of our backers, who have a beta 1 and even beta 2 tag. You can come in, see the tests, and judge for yourself. And hopefully you'll like what you see. But even if you don't, it's just going to get better. And that is not, wishful thinking. That's a promise. And you know how I am with promises. So with that, once again, thank you all for your support. Thank you for your patience. For the folks in Seattle, keeping fingers crossed. And for folks everywhere else, have a great weekend. And I'll see you next week.
See you later.